Good day, everyone. Welcome to our discussion on a crucial concept in pragmatics, the study of language in context, politeness and face. In everyday life, we often think of politeness simply as using words like please and thank you, but in the academic field of pragmatics, the concept goes much deeper. Fundamentally, politeness is about preserving a person's face, which is defined as our public self-image. When we engage in any social interaction, from a casual chat at a conference, as seen in the image, to a formal business meeting, we are constantly working to protect our own face and, just as importantly, the face of the person we are talking to. Understanding this interplay between politeness and face isn't just theory, it is absolutely crucial for achieving successful and harmonious social interactions in any context. Before we dive into the details, let's briefly look at our learning outcomes for this session. By the time we conclude today, you will be able to accomplish the following. Define face, understand the core concept of face within politeness theory. Distinguish face types, explain the difference between positive face and negative face. Identify strategies, recognize the various politeness strategies we employ in communication. Analyze mitigation, examine how acts that threaten face, known as face-threatening acts or FTAs, are softened or mitigated. Apply knowledge, and finally, you will be able to use these politeness strategies effectively in different social situations. This framework will provide you with the tools to analyze and improve your own communication in the real world. So, where does this central concept of face come from? The idea was originally developed from the sociological work of Irving Goffman, a foundational thinker in this area, and was later adapted and refined by the linguists Penelope Brown and Stephen Levinson. They proposed that face represents a universal human idea. Every person, regardless of culture, possesses a public self-image that they wish to maintain during social interactions. You can immediately see how this aligns with common English idioms like to save face or to lose face. Brown and Levinson identified two distinct, yet interconnected, components of face, and it is these two components that fundamentally shape how we choose to communicate. Let's break down the two specific types of face identified by Brown and Levinson. First, we have positive face. This is our inherent desire to be accepted, approved of, and appreciated by others. It represents our need to be treated as a valued member of a social group and to know that our personal wants and goals are shared or at least respected by others. In short, it is the desire to be liked, to belong, and to have our qualities valued. Second, we have negative face. This is our desire for independence and autonomy. It is the need to have the freedom to act without being imposed upon or unduly bothered by others. This is all about wanting control over our own actions and needing freedom from imposition. You can think of positive face as the need for connection, and negative face as the need for autonomy. To make these concepts concrete, let's look at how positive face is managed in communication. Consider the example, "You are so good at this. Could you help me with the homework?" The initial compliment, "You are so good at this," serves a specific pragmatic function. It shows approval and appreciation, which directly supports and satisfies the classmate's positive face. To meet positive face needs, we deliberately use language that signals we like or agree with the other person. Other examples include showing genuine enthusiasm for a friend's new idea, using inclusive language like, "Let's all work together on this," or expressing interest in someone's recent achievements. All of these linguistic moves foster solidarity and acknowledge the other person's positive self-image. Now, let's turn to negative face and the strategies we use to protect it. The example here is, "I'm sorry to bother you, but could I borrow your pen for a moment?" The phrase, "I'm sorry to bother you," is not just a polite filler, it is a critical linguistic device. It explicitly acknowledges that the speaker is about to impose on the listener's independence, their negative face, and attempts to minimize that threat. In situations where we are making a request or asking for something, we choose language that carefully softens the imposition and shows respect for the other person's independence and autonomy. Phrases like, "I know you're busy, but," or, "Would you mind if I," function in the same way, demonstrating respect for their time and freedom. This brings us to the concept of face-threatening acts, or FTAs. An FTA is any utterance or action that has the potential to damage either a person's positive or negative face. It's important to understand that many common, everyday speech acts are inherently face-threatening, such as giving commands, making requests, issuing criticisms, or even offering apologies. Because FTAs are a natural and unavoidable part of communication, we must strategically use politeness language to soften their impact. Let's quickly categorize the two types of threats. Threats to negative face: these are acts that put pressure on the listener, essentially taking away their freedom to act. Examples include requesting, pass the salt, commanding, finish the report, or advising, you should study more. Threats to positive face: these are acts that communicate disapproval or a lack of appreciation for the listener's desired self-image. Examples include criticizing, your work is not good, disagreeing, that's not right, or bringing bad news. Brown and Levinson's theory is most famous for outlining the 4 key strategies we use to perform these face-threatening acts while maintaining politeness. Crucially, the choice of strategy is calculated based on 3 main variables: the social distance between the speakers, the power difference, and the degree of imposition of the act. Let's look at the first 2. Bold on record: this is the most direct and, consequently, the least polite strategy. It's typically used when the imposition is very small, the relationship is already quite close, or in urgent situations. For instance, a simple, give me the phone, or a quick watch out, in an emergency. Positive politeness: this strategy is aimed specifically at supporting the listener's positive face. It focuses on showing closeness and solidarity, often by making the listener feel good about themselves. The example: we're both so tired of this project. Could you help me with the last part? Shows solidarity before making the request, appealing to a shared goal. Moving to the next slide for the remaining 2 strategies. Negative politeness: this is aimed at the listener's negative face. It acknowledges the imposition and works to soften the request. This is the most common strategy we encounter in formal contexts, such as an employee speaking to a boss. A classic example is, I was wondering if you could possibly help me, which emphasizes the optional nature of the request. Off record, this is the most indirect strategy. Here, the speaker merely hints at the FTA without saying it directly, requiring the listener to infer the intended meaning. The statement, "It's hard to get good grades without a textbook," is an indirect request for a textbook, which the listener is free to ignore without losing face. The practical application of these strategies varies significantly based on the social context. With friends, in close relationships with small social distance, we use less formal language. We can often rely on positive politeness or even bold on-record strategies because the bond is strong enough to mitigate the threat. With a professor or boss, in situations involving a power differential, negative politeness is the default. This is used to show respect for authority and to carefully acknowledge the imposition of the request. For example, you might use a phrase like, "I hope you don't mind me asking." Across cultures, perhaps the most important variable is culture. Politeness norms are not universal. What is considered polite in one culture might be seen as rude in another. For example, a direct request may signal honesty in one culture but be perceived as highly impolite in another. Developing strong pragmatic competence requires understanding and respecting these diverse norms to successfully navigate varied social situations. To conclude our session, let's recap the 4 most important takeaways. Face is universal. Every person has a public self-image they strive to maintain, which is served by both positive, connection, and negative, autonomy, face needs. FTAs are natural. Face-threatening acts are unavoidable in everyday conversation. The key is to use strategic politeness to mitigate their impact. Context matters. Your choice of politeness strategy must be calculated based on the social distance, the power dynamics, and the severity of the imposition. Culture shapes politeness. Remember that politeness norms are culture-specific. Successfully communicating means applying the right strategy for the specific cultural context you are in. Thank you for your attention. I hope this framework provides you with a valuable lens through which to analyze and improve your future interactions.